Winston Cup's 9-month odyssey will end today. The Dodge Shelby Championship goes down to the wire. And this year's Trans Am Terra, Scott Pruitt, is here to talk about his championship season. That's all your way next on Race Day. Smooth, fast, and better is the way drivers are describing the site of today's Winston Cup finale. Good morning, everybody. I'm Pat Patterson, and the repaving job at Atlanta Motor Speedway is getting rave reviews. 41 drivers broke the track record in qualifying Friday, and in our Jiffy Lube standings, here's the grid. A real surprise on the pole. Greg Sachs in his U.S. Air entry, really flying for a 185.8 mile per hour lap. It's only his second career pole, and he is the 17th different top qualifier this year. It's going to be a big Busch clash come February. Kenny Wallace is on the outside, and in other selected starters is Jeff Bodine sitting fourth while Mark Martin is fifth. And he's one of the stories of the day. More on that in a moment. Since mid-season, Terry Labonte's gone from 15th to 7th in the series points. He'll start 10th. Defending event winner, Rusty Wallace rolls off 18th. Handsome Harry Gant in his final Winston Cup race rolls off 28th. 1994 Winston Cup champion Dale Earnhardt starts 30th. And Bill Elliott in his final race for the Junior Johnson team had to take a provisional start. In other Winston Cup news, Elliott got his old number back for next year, but there's one catch. The number 9 will have a 4 right after it. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville couldn't get the number from Harry Melling, so he'll be in 94 in 95. That news came on Thursday. Now, even though Earnhardt's already got a lock on the $1.2 million Winston Cup championship money, there's still some big bucks that haven't found their way home yet. Mark Allen looks at some of the battles that will be decided today.
The biggest buck battle is for second, and a few races ago, Rusty Wallace seemed a lock on the $350,000 Winston bonus money. However, this early exit at Rockingham opened the door, and Mark Martin walked through it. He still trails the Miller driver by 75 points, but 3 races ago, he was 226 down. The difference between second and third is $115,000. Right behind them is the best tussle in the top 10. Fourth place Ken Schrader has all of a 1-point lead over Ricky Rudd. Schrader had built up a 127-point cushion thanks to Rudd's incident with Jeff Gordon at Charlotte. Rudd lost a race car, $10,000 in fines, and maybe more importantly, 81 points to Schrader. The $40,000 difference between 4th and 5th may not seem like much, but that's about 4 races worth of tire bills. The only other position that might change is 10th. Darrell Waltrip has had a strong second half that had him as high as 9th at one point. Bill Elliott has also improved from a dismal first half and trails DW by 20 points. A free trip to the banquet hangs in the balance. It's the bright lights in the big city of New York for 10th. Stay home for 11th. Beyond the points battle, some drivers used to winning have been barren this year. Schrader and Shepard have been consistent enough to hang in the top 10 all year. Waltrip hasn't won since 1992. Kyle Petty's Pontiac hasn't been up to snuff this year. And Harry Gant puts the car cover on an unfortunately disappointing final season after today, unless he wins. The rookie battle is still close, with Jeff Burton carrying a slight lead into the final event. 2 top 5 finishes have helped him stay in front of a talented crop of first-year hot shoes.
All right, thanks, Mark. In some Busch Grand National news, Patty Moise has struck gold for 1995. She'll have 4 different products of the Dial Corporation on her car for every race in 1995. Among those are Dial Soap and Purex. One other note, after 25 years of association with the Busch Grand National Series, Martinsville Speedway is heading a different direction for 1995. Clay Earls Half Mile will host 2 big money late model stock shows in the spring and fall. The winner will take home $25 grand. Get the big motors out, guys. And finally, in Nashville, Tennessee, Grand National fans, don't be surprised to see Nashville Motor Speedway on the schedule for 1995. And here's a great one for you. All hail the new Formula One champion. He's Michael Schumacher, who finished 19th in Australia. He won the title because Damon Hill finished 20th. The pair crashed into each other midway through the race, and neither was able to continue, so Schumacher becomes the first German world champion. So who won the race? Old Nigel Mansell helped the Williams Renault to the constructors title, and there's the rest of the top 5. Right after this, we'll have some racing politics, and we'll be joined by SCCA Trans Am champion Scott Pruitt. Stay with us.
Race Day is brought to you in part by Jiffy Lube. If it doesn't say Jiffy Lube, it isn't.
Welcome back live to the program, everybody. When Scott Pruitt got the call from Buzz McCall to drive one of his Camaros in the Trans Am Series this year, everybody knew he would be tough, but just how tough would he be? The Royal Oak Charcoal driver won 3 times en route to the Series Championship, and he joins me now live. And we're just discussing the fact that you really have no life other than driving a race car. Congratulations on the championship, but you did so many other things this year. Tell everybody, I mean, between testing Firestone tires.
Right.
And tell me all the stuff.
Well, basically, you know, started out the year in winning Daytona, the Rolex 24-hour down there, and signed on with Buzz McCall, Royal Oak Charcoal, to drive their Chevy Camaro and won the championship there.
Right.
Doing about 70 to 75 days of testing with Bridgestone Firestone and IndyCar with the Ford Cosworth and a Lola chassis. And then also did Sebring. So between all those things, it's been a pretty hectic year.
But the airline stewardesses know you very well, I'm sure, just from getting on and getting off.
A lot of frequent flyer miles.
Let's talk about Trans Am for a second. You know, you're a good driver. You take a good driver and you put it with a good car owner like Buzz and these guys,
right.
and you had a shot right from the beginning of winning the championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, I was back and forth between Ford and Chevrolet in early negotiations, and ended up going with Chevrolet and Buzz McCall. And I got to say, Buzz was just a super owner. Working with Will Moody and everybody was just a real pleasure. The car ran superb all year long. We finished every lap of every race. We were on the podium. And we were hopeful to do all season long. We only missed 3 races being on the podium, and that's the kind of thing it takes to go out and win a championship.
Did you actually go in with a strategy to win a championship, though, or did it just did it just happen that way? I mean, people don't go to the racetrack thinking we got to be conservative today, we got to worry about the points, Did you do those things?
Well, initially, you know, my first project was to get signed on with Patrick and
right.
Bridgestone Firestone. And then after that, I was looking at Trans Am to keep my racing sharp, to keep my qualifying sharp, all my, what I call racecraft, keep that, you know,
sure.
really fine-tuned to go back racing in '95. Well, looking at that going into the first race, no, I had no, I mean, I had an intention in the back of my mind to do
sure.
that, but I was out to race hard, you know, qualify first, really run for the championship, run for this first place. And as it unfolded, you know, with our consistency and being on the podium continually, we came home with a championship. 75
test dates. How good is the Firestone IndyCar tire?
Very good. You know, it's tough going up against Goodyear. I mean, they're very, you know, they have a lot of experience. They've been there a long time. But Bridgestone Firestone, their commitment is IndyCar racing. I mean, we have been out testing. We've been to every racetrack that we can get to. We still have a lot of testing left this year. I've been very, very pleased with the results so far. We've ran very, very well at Indy. We've ran very well at all the short ovals, the road courses, and you know, we still have more work to do. And I'm sure, you know, Goodyear's, you know, hard at work right now too. But when IndyCar is your main focus, it's going to be tough, and they're going to be right up front.
We'll look forward to seeing you out in that
right.
car, and I guess down at the Rolex 24, you're working on a deal for there. And now, will you do any Trans Am next year or not?
At this point in time, I think I have enough on my plate.
Right.
You know, my main focus is IndyCar racing, and maybe do the Rolex 24 and
good.
Have a good time.
Great to see you.
Thanks,
Scott Pruitt, the champ this year. ARCA wrapped up its season down in Atlanta yesterday, but the big news came Friday with the announcement that Bondo Marhide will become the title sponsor of the Stock Car Series next year. Bondo makes auto body filler products, while Marhide makes paints.
I believe in working very, very hard and having a lot of fun. Motor racing is fun to me. Besides, very profitable in terms of marketing our products.
And there's going to be a lot of Bondo needed to fix the ARCA cars after the demolition derby at Atlanta Motor Speedway yesterday. Mike Wallace won it, but just 15 of the 43 starters were still running at the finish. Dick Trickle was riding on a rim after a flat tire. By the way, Bobby Boucher is the 1994 ARCA champ. Tuesday was not a good day for Democrats or Don Garlits. The drag racing legend lost his bid for the U.S. congressional seat in Florida. You wouldn't have liked it anyway, Don. It takes more than 5 seconds to get anything done in Washington. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back. Welcome back live to Race Day, everybody. Last year's Dodge Shelby Pro Series title was already decided before the final race, but what a difference a year makes. 3 drivers were still in the hunt, and it went right down to the final lap.
There's a real surprise on the point for the 33-lap championship deciding race. Newcomer Jerry Nadeau is a full 1/10 of a second better than Mike Davies, and being on the front row for the number 83 is important at the start as Nadeau's transmission goes south when the green falls. Davies trails Scott Harrington by 5 points going in. Basically, he has to win, while Harrington finishes 3rd or worse. Nadeau's day goes from bad to worse when he loses it in the chicane. Everybody else is able to continue while his day is done on lap 8. Blue is the color of the day with Davies, number 3 pointsman Kyle Conser, and Chris Winkler, an American Telco trio trying to trip up Augie Pabst. But the 77 driver jumps on a small opening and leads with 6 laps to go. Points leader Harrington needs a miracle in his McDonald's Shelby. He's back in 5th and isn't threatening the lead pack. Just when it looks like a slide rule might be needed to determine the new series champ, Pabst finds out where the ragged edge is and hands the lead back to Davies with 3 to go. Keep it between the walls is all the Floridian needs to do, and he does it to take the win. In the final rundown, it's Davies, Conser, Pabst with Harrington 4th, and Rookie of the Year Jimmy Chanas 5th. Davies wins his first championship by 3 points.
And Florida's new champion, Mike Davies, joins us right now. And this was no cakewalk yesterday. I mean, you guys had to keep at it all day long. It was not a gimme championship for you, was it?
No, it came right down to the last race. And Scott Harrington and I mean, we had some tough racing this year, and I kind of had an up-and-down season, and kind of had to have some, you know, different things met yesterday. I had to win. Scott had to be a couple places back, and everything came together for us, and I ended up winning the race and the series.
You had new pavement down there, but you also had a chicane to deal with in you guys' race. And you said the car was bottoming out a lot. Were you slamming it against the pavement when you were coming back onto
the chicane, it was really rough for our car. I mean, you know, I think the banking there is, what, 28 degrees or something like that? And, and we come off the flat there in the chicane, and the transition was pretty rough. And you know, we kind of had some concerns about that. You know, thought we might tear up our car, but the Shelby racer, I mean, it's a strong car, so no problems, and everything went really well for us.
You started racing in the middle 80s. You've now won yourself your first national touring title, which I know is exciting for you.
Yeah, it was really exciting.
Tell me about this series. Was it as competitive as it appeared to be all year long? It looked like between Conser, yourself, and Harrington and all the rest of you guys, it was a really good group of guys to race against.
Yeah, I mean, it was good close racing all year. The Dodge Shelby, I mean, what it does, it provides a place for say a medium budget race team. It's real price effective, and the racing is always really close, and the cars are well built and, you know, very competitive. And our American Telco car, I mean, we just had, you know, like I said, kind of an up and down season. We had a rough go at it at the beginning. We started a new team this year, Lightspeed Racing, and you know, we just kind of hung in there.
When you started running Spec Racers SCCA, did you ever dream about winning a title like this? Did you ever think that would actually occur? Because a lot of people that perhaps deal with amateur racing never really picture themselves going out and winning a pro touring series. Did you have that in mind when you got involved?
Yeah, I mean, when I started racing, at first, you know, it was all just for fun and everything, and the opportunity was good, but I always wanted to go and, you know, be some sort of a pro champion, and then someday either be an IndyCar driver or a NASCAR driver. So, I mean, you know, the Shelby Series is given me a place to showcase my talents, if you will, and, you know, try and make it to the final goal.
I assume that you'll run it again next year. We understand that Shelby Series will be back next year, and maybe not as many races, but will you continue to drive the car and work towards another championship?
Right now, our plan is to continue with the Shelby Series with our new sponsor, Matt Rex Engineered Foods. They've stepped up to the plate and stronger involvement. We're going to try and, you know, make another bid at the championship again next year.
That's great. Well, I know you're excited, and
I'm very pleased.
Savor it over the winter, because next year you get to start all over again.
It'll be tough again.
Appreciate you coming up and spending some time with us.
Thank
Congratulations on a great run down in Atlanta.
Thank you.
All right, Mike Davies. We'll have some action from last weekend, or we do have, rather, that we didn't want anyone to get away without seeing. Jason Young has those stories.
It was a perfect day on Sunday after a one-day rain delay. And as promoters waved the coveted checkered flag behind every driver, it was certain that one of them would get it for real. 24 drivers took the green in the United States Modified Series 40-lap main. Lamar, Colorado's Darren DeLoach was far and away the best driver, and he took the win in the inaugural event. Second went to Royal Jones, with Bob Sykes third, Kelly Shryock was fourth, and Danny Bradford was fifth. The Arena Cross season kicked off last weekend up in Iowa, and right from the get-go, some riders found their job harder than it needed to be. It was a dominating weekend for number 2 Jimmy Gaddis. The Las Vegas Kawasaki rider was unbeatable both nights. He won the 125cc, and that night he backed it up with a 250 win. To give you an idea of how popular this indoor series is, 5 different states were represented in the top 5. St. Augustine played host to a Makeup Legends race, and it was a pretty good show. Will 2 wide work for the lead? Well, yes and no. Yes for Stacy Mathen, no for Jimmy Foster. A bit later in Mathen has to worry about Dick Mitchell. This was the scene several times, but all of that close racing ended up causing both to spin and go to the rear of the pack. That left number 52 Robert Ham at the front of the field, and he drove on to the victory. There's a look at the rest of the top 5. I'm Jason Young, reporting for Race Day.
Thanks, J-Man. In other news, dirt track terror Scott Bloomquist is no doubt breathing easier these days. A week ago Friday, the Have a Tampa Driver Series champion, was found innocent of drug trafficking charges first filed against him in October of 1993. Bloomquist quickly went out and celebrated by winning $20,000 in the National 100 Sunday night in Alabama. In sprint car news, Sammy Swindell will carry the Hooters sponsorship on his winged missile next season for a limited schedule. We told you last week that he's going to be committed to running NASCAR's new Super Truck schedule for next year. And speaking of Super Trucks, Sears Craftsman will sponsor the new series for its 20-race schedule in 1995. And the good news is that TNN will televise half of those races. Man, that's going to be great. Now, there's some more good news to report on this morning. To Paige Jones, according to a doctor's statement, the 22-year-old is now conscious and increasingly aware of his surroundings. He is participating in his therapy and is inconsistently able to follow commands. Jones remains in a brain rehabilitation center in California, and our best wishes go out to he and his family. Man, that is great news. More race days coming up, so don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, everybody. If you're just joining us, Michael Schumacher is the new world driving champion, while Nigel Mansell won today's Australian Grand Prix. Australia's racing season is really just getting cranked up in many ways. Our good friend Mike Raymond rejoins us to catch us up on what's been going on in the land down under.
Thank you, Pat Patterson. Nice to be back on race day. There's an old saying in racing, no one really wants to have hard competition in the rain. Why? Well, first of all, the spectators get wet, and usually it affects the crowds. Well, for Australia's biggest race, the Tooheys 1000, spectators got more than they bargained for. The boys raced in the rain, but raced harder than ever before. 5 seconds away from it, the Peter Jackson Falcon on pole. Scaife's ready to go. They're all off, and Scaife gets away smartly, but Alan Jones is away smarter even on the outside and gobbles up Tony Longhurst as they reach the first turn. Is it going to be Brock? He goes in wide, but he won't be able to turn it out of there. Scaife had opted for the wrong tyres and was doing it tough. But then Larry Perkins emerged in the Castrol Commodore to tell Brocky it was time for a new leader. Whoa! Stand on the gas, boy.
Brock and Larry, just like the sprint cars on the clay there, sideways, full power, trying to get about 550 to the tarmac.
Lap 7, and it was on up front. Perkins and Brock inseparable. Scaife was next, and out of the blue came Alan Jones, Tony Longhurst, Glenn Seaton and Alan Grice in the Shell Falcon. The pace was getting quicker, and both Brad Jones and John Bowe were only now on the scent of the freight train. Up front, AJ was having quite a day. Out of here, and it's Brock with Jones, side by side again.
Ford versus Holden. Alan Jones is more than into the quarter panel of Brock's car there. Brock's got the left-hand indicator on, as Alan Jones tucks right under the wing of 05 as they come across the mountain.
Jones passed Brock the next lap as the pit stops commenced. When the track dried, Dick Johnson was in front and turning the fastest laps of the race. The Peter Jackson team, meanwhile, were on the ropes. Oil leaks savaged the 30 car, and later Glenn was pit-bound in the 1 machine after he and Paul Radisich had climbed back to 3rd. And then Peter Brock brought out the yellows with one of his rare miscues on top of the mountain. The order was then Bowe, Lowndes, Longhurst and Perkins. There's a lot at stake here. There's 100 grand to win this race. Lowndes comes down under brakes. JB saying... Oh, no, he couldn't have looked. He didn't look, but that's racing.
John Bowe
How does it feel?
Well, it was a hard race, Mike, I tell you what, from start to finish, and that's what this sort of racing's all about. And 5-litre racing is here for a long, long time.
Big crowds haven't been the exclusive domain of the road races. Sydney's Parramatta Raceway has been breaking early season records, and the racing has been dynamite. Troy Jenkins continues to dominate the midget premiership in the new Peter Jackson Fontana. On a bumpy track, he came from last in the field to catch the checker first. And spectators were in for a real treat when 16-year-old sprint car rookie Darryl Hodges almost caused a major upset. Hodges and Mick Rowell swapped the lead several times from their front row starting spot until 10 times Aussie champ Gary Rush clipped them with a lap remaining. The win going to Rowell over Rush and the teenager Rager. In Australia, I'm Mike Raymond reporting for Race Day.
Well, let's hope nobody muffs it down in Atlanta this afternoon. Mike will be joining us throughout the winter here. It's summer there, and he'll have his special brand of reports. That's it for now, but tonight on Race Day, we'll have results and more from the Baja 1000. Plus, we'll preview the first Super Truck race coming up next Sunday on TNN. It's the Winter Heat Series. Until then, I'm Pat Patterson. See ya.
Transportation provided by Cedar Ridge RV Center of Branchville, New Jersey. Call 1-800-988-4884 and find out why Cedar Ridge is the choice of champions.